Disclaimer, we'd like to note before the start of this interview that the opinions about to be expressed by the guest on tonight's Gettin Salty Experience podcast are that of the guest and do not directly or necessarily reflect the views of the host of the Gettin Salty Experience podcast.
Put the fucking fire out!
You're listening to the Gettin Salty Experience podcast.
Hello! I'm back. Voice is back.
Shut up, silly woman.
I tried to get that. David.
That's my guy.
Shut that guy right up.
Welcome back to the Gettin Salty Experience podcast, the only one that brings the Firehouse Kitchen Table to you. Welcome. We got Rob Procaccini, Pee Wee, Darren DeFries, Mark Ayers, Steve, Pee Wee. I said that. William Cooney, the Looney, all you fellas out there and gals. Thanks for joining us.
Yes.
I used to
I just
say,
want to say when Mike was here, it was the highest rated show we've ever had.
is it? Good for you. I got a lot of emails that say it sucked. It's not the
face.
same without
Look
you,
at his
Coon.
face.
It
Wait.
sucked.
Yeah, that was the call you got right there.
You gotta let him get them all out. You gotta let him get them all out.
Yeah,
No
way,
He's
bro.
done.
No way. I'm done.
I
Yeah,
used
a
to
lot of
say
calls.
self-proclaimed best podcast, right, Ruff? But didn't we get a chart where we were the number one firefighter podcast in the
Number
world?
one, baby.
Number one.
Number
I gotta get
Number
Tank to
one.
send me that.
Number
one. That's right. And you guys put us there. All you guys out there in the chat and all over the world.
Maybe we got to get rid of Lloyd, Lindsay. Maybe we got to move on from Lloyd.
Yeah. We can.
I don't know.
What's up,
Maybe-
Mike?
Wait.
You must be out of your goddamn mind.
You know we can put him there.
What do we got?
Frankie McDonald doing the super tornado siren, bro.
No,
yeah.
we're not doing that. We are
You
not
just tell us.
doing
That guy's
that.
got 2 million
Negative.
followers.
I don't care. We're not doing that.
What do you want to do?
I tried to
Fine.
look at that. Procaccini
Yeah.
said that. I couldn't even do it.
Come
He
on.
was like dribbling out of himself. I can't do it.
That's awesome. I love it.
He's obviously knows what he's doing. Could be all an act,
Yeah.
I don't think so. You think so?
right? I mean, no.
I don't know. You should know, Gonzo. You guys can see each other, right? The special ed can see the special ed. You would know.
Come on, man.
He's looking. Come on, man.
Come on, man. I could.
Come on, guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we're talking about volleys, bro. Because we got a man who made a documentary. We actually have a filmmaker on the show tonight. You know what I mean? Well,
Not even the author. Not even the author.
I don't even have my pipe. Nope. He makes movies for a living. He used to be out in LA. Now he's in Texas. I think he was in Minnesota for a while. He's all over the place. But he made a documentary about volleys, which is a big part of this fire service we're in. I think most of the country is volley, right?
Yep. A big.
When did
he'll
he
give
do
us the
this?
percentages.
No. Come on. We'll ask him. I can see that you studied up on him. I can
No, he
tell.
wanted
I
to be
was all.
surprised.
I wanted to come in fresh. You know.
Oh, that's right.
You know,
All
when
right, good.
Coops gets the guest, you know, we're kind of like in the abyss, you know what I mean? We're in space, we're bobbing around. We really don't
Did
know.
you get all the information? Did you get the trailer? Read the emails. We're trying out loud.
I'm gonna die over here.
Tonight is a special night. I'm drinking the martinis tonight, bro, because I want to propose a toast to our boy Mikey, who's going to the academy. What, Tuesday? He said.
He is going Tuesday.
He said, yeah.
Ruffy and I feel like he's our son, right, bro? We stole him from the PD and nurtured him.
What did I tell him he can't do? What did I tell him he can't
told him
do?
a lot. You just told him to keep his mouth
don't
closed.
get killed.
Oh, what? Don't get killed.
Don't get
right.
killed. That's what I
Yeah.
No, okay. No.
We're gonna be at his graduation, but I told him I have one thing I have to have. I got to sit next to his mom's because
Wow.
I have to. That's all I'm gonna say. All right,
He ain't lying.
He ain't lying. Let's play a couple of commercials here quickly so we can get Mr. Ben in here. Ben Cook,
Oh, we'll do one now. We'll do one later.
you're running the show. You do it.
Yeah, that's what I was just gonna say. Okay.
Yeah,
Here we
do
go.
it.
Let's listen to Mr. Vince.
Need a new floor for your fire station? Choose an armor-tough interlocking flooring system to cover your aging, stained, cracked concrete, or epoxy floor. Around for nearly 20 years and proven to be the best choice in renovating your station floors, covering nearly 600 floors across the country, ArmorTough is proudly made in America and comes with a lifetime warranty with floors that are usually installed in 1 or 2 days, depending on the size of your station, and no disruption in the process to your station's operations. Our system is guaranteed from chipping, cracking, peeling, breaking, or staining. The tiles are stain resistant and impervious to chemicals or volatiles that are used in the fire service. If you damage one tile, you can lift and replace without anyone knowing. And once it's installed, your floor would be easy to clean with just soap and water. It's not only for apparatus rooms. You can install an ArmorTough floor in virtually any room and choose from the hundreds of colors from the Designer Series or, if you like, from the Utility Series floor coverings. Are you in need of gear racks, an extractor, or gear dryers? Install an ArmorTough floor in your apparatus bay and take full advantage of a deep discount, saving you thousands of dollars on any of the Grove products line. Why install a breakable epoxy floor that'll need replacing in 5 to 10 years when you could have a floor that will last a lifetime? The ArmorTough flooring system is half the price of epoxy and will last a lifetime without issue, more importantly. Join the hundreds of career and volunteer departments nationwide who have chosen an ArmorTough interlocking tile floor. Call Vince today for a no-obligation quote at 908-917-7697.
Gonzo, you put those little bouncing things in there like that?
I did.
You did all right, man. You're doing good. Look at that. We took Vince out to dinner last week. Did you talk about that, my little Italian friend?
Yeah, I heard about that. Is he coming to FDIC?
He is.
Oh, I'll
He is.
be there.
Yeah.
Good. So,
Excellent. Because we paid for that one. Now he's got to pick it. Now it's his turn.
oh, yeah. Oh, I thought he picked up this one.
No, we picked up the last one.
All
Had some
right.
good Italian food at Vincent's.
Yeah, that was that place.
All right.
The
What?
one I joined you at when we went last year or the year before?
No, this was a different one. Never
The
been
different. Oh, okay. All right. Well, what do we got? Let's go. Let's do this.
Time for Ruffy to bring in our special guest tonight.
Oh, yeah. Let's go.
Oh,
Let's
that's
do
it. Only one commercial.
See,
We got one more
let's do it
later.
later.
Those you want to do it now? You want to do it now?
Okay.
Get out of the way. Let's go.
Now we'll do it later.
All
All
right.
right.
All right.
Coming to the stage, film producer Benjamin Cook.
There he is. Welcome
Welcome to
to
the
this,
show. Thank you, guys.
welcome
for
to this
having me
thing
on.
that we call a show, Ben.
Yeah.
Appreciate you coming on.
Another smart guy there, Coop.
I know. Look at all the books in the back there, man. They ain't comic books either, man. What do you got back there?
Yeah, it's actually a fake
Comic
facade.
books.
It really is. It's a door to another room.
Is it? It's the drink. It's the boom boom room, Ruff. back there.
Yeah.
It
Before
looks
we
like
get
a little
any
door.
further-
I don't know what the hell going on
It does, man. I don't know. We
Yeah,
got to
what
get
was it?
patriotic first. We got to get
Before we
patriotic.
do. All right, here we go.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Amen, brother. Amen.
So is it the seventh book over, second shelf down? You
Look
give
down.
it a little pull and it opens the door up.
The man cave.
Yeah, it actually opens to nothing because I haven't done anything with it yet. It's
So
funny.
you're out in Texas now, right? But
Yep.
where you from originally? Let's go back.
Cornell, Wisconsin is where I was born and raised.
Oh, geez, man.
It's a town of like 1,400 people. It's rural Wisconsin in the northwestern part
Wow.
of the state. Yeah, it's a great little town. It's a lumber town originally. So Ezra Cornell, the guy that founded the Cornell University, is actually owned a mining camp a logging camp, and they logged along the river. And the city actually has one of the last standing stackers, which would pull logs out of the river and stack them up. And then there's a wood mill that's actually still operating today and one of pretty much the main industry in the city.
Wow.
So, I grew up there, 18, went to film school at UW Milwaukee and studied
I
there.
didn't know you wanted to be a filmmaker.
I went to a lot of movies. We had a little movie theater in our town you could get into this little old lady ran this thing until like 2001, right? Until she was 80 something, and she would charge like 50 cents to get into a movie all through the 90s. It was crazy. I don't know how she turned a profit, but I would go to movies all the time. And my dad was actually was the town doctor, and he would help run the projection booth every once in a while.
That's
so
great.
And he runs a projector.
Yeah,
I tell you, that's the last hope. Right, it's the Midwest, like up in the Midwest. It's the last hope we have. I'm telling you right now.
Yeah, it's
awesome
a great town.
So you were a movie buff, and you decided that you wanted to go to make movies.
That's right. Yeah, I moved out to LA shortly after that, knowing that was kind of the place to go if I wanted to work. I was in Minnesota for a short stint before I went to LA, but yeah, I mean, LA is just it's a wild town, and there's so much to learn there as a filmmaker because everybody's making something, and there's just this culture where, you're just if you want to learn a specific trade in filmmaking, you can go out and learn that over a weekend. You want to get around, you have a script idea, you want to shoot something with a bunch of buddies, you can find actors and just shoot it for free on a weekend. You learn so much.
Can you get me a SAG card for free?
How old were you when you left, Ben? How old were you when you left?
22 when I moved out there. Yeah.
You moved in by yourself, or you were like in an apartment with a bunch of guys, or?
A buddy of mine from film school moved out there. We went out together, and we lived together for a couple of years, and then eventually I went off on my own. And then,
what kind of movies were you interested in? Were you more into the writing, the filmy part? What was your?
It was a fair amount of writing and directing and producing. But I was really interested just sort of in seeing on how all of the mechanics worked, because there are so many facets to it. It's hard to know which one you're particularly good at in film school, because the film school I went to, you did everything from the lighting to the writing to the directing to the acting half the time and the editing. So it's when you stink at everything, it's hard to know exactly what part of it did slightly work,
Right.
So I tried to focus on different aspects of it, and I think the one that really made sense to me was editing. So I ended up doing editing work, and then I worked for post-production houses, and I just kind of worked my way up in editorial, and that's what I do primarily now, is my bread and butter, along with making films like The Best of Us.
Did you edit any big time movies? Oh, it's kind of rough. Any big time movies, mainstream movies that we would know that you edited?
I worked on The Last of Us for HBO. And then Ozark.
I love Ozark and The Last of Us too.
Yeah. No, they were it was so cool. That was a couple of years ago. I had to work my way up to that point to get into scripted. It's kind of a tricky thing in the film business. You really have to you work as an assistant, and then you work as a production assistant, and then you work up to an assistant editor, and then editorial, and then up from there. But it was a great. Ozark was the first really big thing I'd worked on, and I was a big fan of the show. And Jason Bateman, I worked on specifically the last half of the last season. And Jason Bateman is both the showrunner and also the director on the show. So he would come in and we'd be editing, and he'd give us notes, and
that's cool.
And
Marty.
That's right, Marty. And he's the nicest guy you would ever meet. Just really down to earth. You'd think he's kind of smarmy from all the roles he plays. He's not like that at all. He's a really nice guy, and he's really intelligent. How much stuff he knows about film. I cut this bird basically flying overhead, and I pulled it from some footage that we had shot in season 1. And he goes, "Oh, that bird shot, I'm glad that we finally, got a chance to use it. And I remember we were we shot that in a helicopter, and we shot it on this lens on this day.
Wow.
And that was 5 years previous. And he was totally right about that information. I mean, the amount of technical information that guy can retain, his intelligence and just his awareness. I would love to work with him again, but yeah.
So what made you decide to start making your own movies, like from editing? Were you doing that in the meantime?
Yeah, I was still making stuff on the side. And yeah, I mean, with this documentary, I've been wanting to tell this story since I was 22. When I first moved out to LA, I was a little homesick for the Midwest. It was the first time I'd moved to a completely culturally different place. So I got this book I was told about this book called Population 485, and it's about this town that's like 30 minutes away from where I grew up. And this was a New York Times best-selling book, and it's about the volunteer fire department. So it's really well written. It really talks about the rural experience from a way that doesn't feel, I don't know, cliche or woe is me, or it just comes from a very real place. And he talks about, how volunteer firefighters are really the thing that kind of keeps the community together. Basically, I read this book and I said, you know what, I want to make this thing into a TV series someday, and I called him about getting the rights, and he's at first I think he wasn't sure. He was very nice about it, but there's like some big time movie producer, Ralph Winter or something like that had acquired the rights. And so he was like, hey, no, I know you're another kid from the area, so I'd love to help you at some point, but it didn't really quite work. And so that I've been trying to make that thing since I was 22.
Wow.
This documentary.
So you had no experience. You had no experience, Ben, as a volunteer then?
No. I went to EMT school at UCLA though, so I could learn how basically the experience of being a first responder, kind of arriving at a scene. I was going to do it kind of as a research side of things, but UCLA has a really tough EMT program. So I ended up, having to drop out after a while because I was working a full-time job at the time, but I did learn a fair amount of, about first response.
Wow. So you decide you're going to make this almost 20 years ago, or about 20 years ago, right? You got your interest in how does it, from the initial idea, how do you push that forward? What happens next? What do you have to put in place in order to make a documentary like this?
So all right. So I think it was 2021. I saw this thing on Facebook. Somebody had posted in my town about Justin Fredrickson. I don't know if you saw that, about the guy that was shot in the stomach. But anyway, he went to he was a volunteer firefighter. He's a wrestling coach in Cornell, and just a really nice guy. And he responded to a fire. He went out there. There was a loaded gun in the house, and the loaded gun just heated up and it went off. And wow. We talk about that, all of this, and the full story of it in the documentary. But I had read this story of him getting shot through the stomach and almost dying. The city had really rallied around him and was really supportive of everything, and how the firefighters just kind of showed this bond, this brotherhood. And this isn't their full-time job, but this is a huge part of their lives. You go in their houses and you see they have all sorts of firefighting things. They have gear from their fathers that's hanging up on the walls. I mean, this is a crucial part of their life. So to see them come together and see the community come together around him being shot, I thought it would make for an interesting story. And the Pop 45 thing had always been kind of floating in my brain too. So this was I contacted the chief there, Denny, and who was actually my barber when I was a kid. So it was.
Town is small. So.
It's like Little House on the Prairie. Michael. I love it.
Yeah, and what's funny is every time you went into Denny's barber shop, when I was a kid, at least, it was the wallpapers were like these deer. It was always deer and jumping through these fields. It was very idyllic, and you'd hear. There was two things: a really nice greeting from Denny, like, "Hey, how you doing, young guy?" And you'd hear the scanner. The scanner was always going in the background, so you'd sit down and he would talk that he would be discussing everything that's going on in the town, and he'd make you feel comfortable and joke a bit. He has a really great sense of humor, but every time that scanner, like when the tone dropped, if he's got the shears, he would stop. And you thought to yourself, am I gonna get the rest of this haircut? Is this guy gonna run out the door and run down the hall, run down the street and get to the fire hall? Because he was 5 minutes away from the fire station. So so the scanner, it was just one of those things, and you'd be kind of linked into the town and what was happening in the town, and I would go to friends' houses and I'd hear the scanner in the background there, and none of it really made sense about the fire. I kind of thought that's how a lot of fire departments operated, coming from a small town, because that's all I really knew until I moved out and was like, wait a minute, there's something more to this. This isn't, they're not really being paid to do this. This is insane. So
most of the country was saying, right?
Seven out of 10, 65%.
Yeah,
at this point.
That's huge. Wow. Did you? I don't know if you guys asked this already.
Go ahead.
How much research did you actually do before creating a documentary? Like, I know you said you went to EMT school for some of the experience. Did you do any kind of rides anywhere else to kind of get, some more motivation to create this?
I read a few books, and I
just a few
films. I definitely called a few people and talked to them as well, and just kind of got an idea of what goes into the day in life of being a person that's working and then suddenly running out and going to a call. So there was a bit of research first, but it was mostly just calling around and asking who's comfortable being in front of the camera and talking about calls.
Why did you choose the place that you chose? Like that?
Because it was my hometown. So
that is your hometown.
Yeah.
Oh, so the guy who's talking is who is the man that's talking then in the trailer?
It's so Denny is the barber guy that's talking in the trailer.
I didn't know that. Oh
yeah.
That would make sense. Yeah.
Yeah, I went to high school with the guy that took over the chief spot, Matt Bolding. So I knew him from school, so it was fun to kind of catch up with him.
How do we not get Denny on tonight?
What's that?
How do we not get Denny on tonight? Was he busy coming here or something? What?
Yeah, I don't know. I should have called him. It might have been. I think he retired and sold the shop a couple of years ago. But yeah.
Well, I was going to say, what did the chief say when you called him? Like out of the blue, when you just called him up, what was his?
Yeah, he said, all right, let's do it, and let's he was pretty excited to talk about everything, and so we went to the gym. I tried to do it at the movie theater I had talked about, but it has since closed. And I called the guy that owns the movie theater, and I said, hey, I'd like to use this space for doing interviews. And he's like, I don't know, it's not in great shape. And I was like, well, it'll just be for a little bit. It's all right. We'll be mindful. And
is this it?
That's it. That's
wow.
it.
Oh, wait, look at that cool.
Yeah, it's
wow.
It's so
Cornell.
Well, maybe we can do this. And I was like, yeah, it'll be the firefighters, so you'll know that they'll be respectful. And he's like, wait, fire inspectors?
No,
no, you can't.
No.
Wow, that's
It's
awesome.
kind of a funny conversation.
So how do you start then when you got to find financing for a movie like this? What takes place then from jump?
I ended up paying for it myself out of
What?
my pocket. Yeah, and asking for a lot of favors. The camera guys that I had hired, the DP, was really generous with his time. So he came in and he shot things, and I think his mother was a first responder, so he was pretty close to this world as it was. So I feel like everybody I talk to they got an uncle or they know somebody who at some point that is connected into having served for some period of time.
Yep.
In volunteership. So.
And the brothers are very helpful, no matter where they're from, man. They're very helpful.
Yeah.
Very willing to give you their time or whatever they can, really.
Yeah.
So, did you do any documentaries?
What's the next step? What happened?
I'm sorry.
So after that, I went up and I scheduled some days to shoot. We did. Usually with documentaries, you sit down and you want to. Well, it depends on the type of documentary you want to make, right? But the traditional way of doing it. You sit down with the people and you interview them for 1 hour, or however long they want to talk. Sometimes it's half an hour, sometimes it's 2 hours. But so you ask all your questions and you get an idea of where things are going, how they feel about it, and then you'll go into more specific points if they have them, and then you'll take that in the next interview, and then you kind of interview each one of them, and then we went out in the field and we went to their homes and we talked to their family, and all in the course of this, we also were paying attention to the pager because we followed them to the calls that they went on, and we were interviewing somebody outside of the fire station when a call came in for a car wreck. So we filmed them like coming in, getting changed. And not down to like skivvies or anything like that. It's a PG film. Don't worry, everybody. But it's so they gear up, they jump in the truck, and they take off to this car wreck. And I think the car wreck was something like 12 miles away, but it was this car that had backed into a building. She thought she was driving forward, but turns out she was in reverse and drove right into the storefront of a place and hit somebody. So they had to extract her from the building, and so we went there and we filmed.
It's amazing to us, Roof. Like we go on runs, right, and it's a couple of blocks. Can you imagine driving 12 miles to a run? Like, what's the furthest you have, Gonzo, by you? It ain't no 12 miles.
No. I mean, my city's only the 23 square mile city.
Yeah,
and it's not very.
It's getting on a rim and driving 12 miles to a call.
Well, so get this: it's the area the area they cover is 256 miles. That's what they cover. So 12 wasn't bad compared to some of the calls. Right. They were doing. I went on another house fire with them, and I went back to film a second time back in 2023 to get more footage, and I had the scanner on, and it was like 2 a.m, so I was fast asleep from filming all day, and the scanner went off, and I jumped out of bed, threw on some pants, threw on some clothes, ran down to the station, filmed them coming in, and then I followed them out, and it was 20 some miles in the middle, and everything was frozen. It was below zero. So they couldn't, and it was a half mile down a farm road to get to where this house was on fire. And the road was iced over essentially. So they weren't taking all of the trucks, but since it was out in the country, they still had to bring in the pumpers to refill tanks because they don't have hydrants out there. So
So by the time you got there, you just took out the sticks, put a couple of weenies on it, and just
watermelons.
Right.
Yeah.
Come on, boys.
We might not have done so good there.
Right.
Yeah, it was a fascinating. They ended up nobody was hurt, but they ended up pulling a dog out of the fire that had been asphyxiated, and the EMT crew brought it back to life, and the dog was fine.
Really
crazy.
Made a grab, put him in for a medal, Roof.
There you go.
So how long did it take you to film the whole thing?
So it took me about a week, my first run, and then about 7 days the second time I went back, and then another 2 days. I also went to Kansas to talk to the National Volunteer Fire Council.
Mhm.
They had a giant conference there, and so I filmed the conference, and I talked to other volunteer fire departments in the area, and sort of got their feed on sort of what volunteership looked like. And I interviewed the head of the National Volunteer Fire Council too. That was another day or two. So it was 12 days, but then editorial took almost a year.
And when do you release it? How do you get it out there to people, like small mom and pop movie theaters or?
Right. Yep. Right now. So we did the film festival circuit, and we're still kind of doing that now. So we had our first premiere at the Madison Film Festival, and then we ended up winning Best Feature Documentary. And then we played at Waiwega, which was a place in Wisconsin. Interesting enough, Waiwega is where Robert Bloch wrote Psycho, the book that they based the movie on.
Really?
Yeah, and it was the book is about, kind of loosely, about the Ed Gein murders that were happening in Plainview, or Plainfield, Wisconsin. Anyways, so they have a film festival out there, so we screened there, and then we also released it. We released it for about a week and a half, 2 weeks in Eau Claire, which is sort of the nearby town by Cornell. And we had our night with all of the firefighters that were in the film, so we screened it with them, and then it played for a while in that theater. And we've been slowly playing in theaters across Wisconsin and Minnesota, and a little bit, I think we have one hopefully lined up in Texas here, and a couple other places, and hopefully in New York over there too. We'll see.
Yeah.
But it's we're slowly rolling it through theaters, so that way we can basically tie fundraising to each one of these screenings. So a part of the box office actually goes to the fire department that's in the area.
Mm-hmm.
So part of the ticket sales goes right to them, and they come in, and and we've had some interesting cases where we screened actually at a library in Minnesota, and afterwards somebody told me that 2 people went and signed up to be volunteers the next day, which I thought, I didn't expect that to happen, but that's great to hear. I mean, that's really the point of it.
That's part of the movie, right? How they can't get people to join the volleys anymore, right? I mean,
Right.
we've seen that all over, right, Roof? Johns?
Yeah. I mean, but by you guys, we don't have any volunteers down here anymore. I mean, we have one area, but that's still part of it. It's hard to get people to want to do that.
How long is the documentary, Ben?
It's 72 minutes. Yeah, an interesting point about to volunteership. There was a study in 1983 where they first started collecting numbers, and since then there are 100,000 less volunteers that have joined than at that point in 1983. So and that meant the closure since 1986. About 4,000 departments have closed.
Wow.
That's
What do you attribute to that? What have you gleaned from that? Like, why is that happening?
I mean, I think populations are more transient than they used to.
Mm-hmm.
People are moving around more to find work. It's not like small towns don't really have as much industry as they used to. So it's people have to move for work.
Right.
Your lives, you have now with things as they are with the economy, like two incomes are usually the case. So people being able to leave work and answer calls is really tough.
Yeah.
So
People are busy, more busy, I think, now too. It's not less simple as it was, back then too, I think.
Yeah, it's. I would just say that too. I think that the culture and the society changing a little bit too has something to do with it as well. People don't want to do too many things for nothing.
And we don't make many men anymore. Maybe that's what it is too.
Is that it?
It could be. Just saying.
Could be.
Let's. How long is the trailer? It's like
about 2 minutes 24 seconds, I think.
Let's pull the trailer, man. We'll talk about it.
All right. Yeah, let's go ahead and do this. Give me just a second here, gentlemen. Here we go. Let me get this going. All right. Let me know if the volume's okay.
A little louder.
Business. People are hoping we'll get there quick. We're hoping that we're able to save something.
Cornell Fire Department is a strictly volunteer service.
Everybody carries a pager, and if the pager goes off, if you're available, you come.
All of a sudden, whatever you were doing has to stop.
We've left Thanksgiving, Christmas dinner, birthday parties for our kids. We lack manpower most days.
And it's not just us. It's just hard to recruit anymore.
In 65% of the country, emergency services comes from volunteers.
Besides being a volunteer firefighter, I have an automotive repair shop.
I was a barber for 49 years.
I love the fact that us with different backgrounds get together and we all of a sudden have this shared experience.
You're counting on that person next to you. If you go down to get you out, probably heard the term brotherhood on the fire department.
It's a whole nother family.
Small town, everybody knows everybody.
When stuff happens, it's usually somebody you know.
They wear on you.
My memory is filled with people who didn't get another day.
Being able to recruit has become quite a challenge.
Luckily, we have 3 father-son duos on our department.
As I got older, I knew that there was more than just fighting the fires, protecting your community.
It's your duty to serve your community.
Dude, that's great.
Superb editing.
Thanks. Yeah. I would love to take credit for that editing, but I didn't cut that.
Shit! Don't say nothing, Ben. Don't say nothing.
I know, but I have to shout it out. I got like an A-list trailer editor. His name's Evan Culfer.
Phenomenal job, man.
He cuts Hollywood stuff left and right. So he was the best man in my wedding. I was the best man in his, and he really brought it home. And he had a lot of faith in the fire service, and had a lot of respect for what you guys did and do. And he was willing to come in and help me on this. So really grateful for that.
A few points that stick out to me, like sorry, when you talked about when you go somewhere, the person, right? 9 times out of 10, the person. When me and Louie, or probably even guys,
I was just going to say that.
You go on a one, you ain't ever seen that person again in your life. You're working on a total.
When that guy
stranger.
said that was, I was just going to say the same exact thing. When the guy said, if you go on a run, you know the guy, right? Like in the small town, you know everybody. So
Plus,
you
not
just really
see that lay eyes on that person again ever. So, but you guys, it's different when you're working. If somebody's in cardiac arrest and you're working on a guy who you know and you talk to all the time and you're friends with, as opposed to, not that you're going to do a different job, but mentally it takes a different toll on you, no doubt.
Yeah, I can say I've done that. I've had some unfortunate experience of working with somebody,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's tough, right?
Yeah.
Different.
Yeah. Sure.
That, and when the lady said it's your civic duty, to help your community, that's another thing that stuck out at me.
Yeah.
Always do it, and we work holidays, we work Thanksgiving, but these guys, whatever they're doing, pages go off, they're running out the door. Like you're sitting there eating dinner with your kids, and the pager goes off, you're running out the door. That's what I tell the guys. Go, would you join the volleys after? I'm like, hell no. First of all, I can't because I got hurt on the job. But second of all, I don't know that I'd be sitting there eating dinner or watching the game with my kids and the pager go off and I got to go running out there. When you're at work, you're there to do that. Your mind frame, you're set. you're there to go to work. So you get a run, you go to 10, 20 runs a day, whatever it is. But when you're home, comfy, or you're snuggled in your bed at night next to the old lady and the pager goes off and you got to run out, that's a whole different story, man. So
yeah, I think part of it is a little cultural. I keep going back to that cultural word. Something you get used to, you grow up to. It's all about the community. I speak from being a volunteer. When it started was for me, I was excited to do it. You couldn't wait to do it. I was young. I didn't give a shit what was going on. That page went off. I was running out the door to get ahead and be a buff.
Right.
I wanted to be there, and I did volunteer for almost 7 years.
Yeah, and those guys are basically just doing it for the love of the job and the service. We were getting paid at least, I mean, some guys like Wolfie getting paid a lot more.
That just happened to me. That just happened to me.
Oh, when you went down in the bathroom?
When I went down, the ambulance came. It was a kid, and they put me in the stat chair, and it was a girl with him. Again, I was in the ambulance. I guess he wasn't a you're better at this than me, Gons. He wasn't EMT. So about halfway to the hospital, they stopped, and there was another ambulance there that met, and I guess he came into the ambulance with me and set me up with the IV and all that.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. And I'm telling you right now, that girl was riding it. I was waiting for that thing to flip. That's how fast she was going.
Trying to like she stole it.
Bro, I am not kidding. I'm not kidding. And it's probably like a 20-minute
Wait a minute. Weren't you 103 and 290 when they drove fast, bro?
Yeah.
But I was
half your life on
facing
2 wheels.
forward. When you face forward, it's one thing. When you're
sitting in the gurney, it's a little bit different.
But I actually I got their names. A friend of mine who's a chief over there.
Change your perspective a little about.
Well, yeah, man. When it's you in that spot, like you were saying before, we see all these people, and you're doing what you do, and you're kind of detached from it, right? But all of a sudden, you're in it, and you realize what that guy's saying to you. And a couple of times my eyes were closing, and he kept waking me up, to stay awake. And I remember doing that to people all the time. Don't close your eyes. And I even said something to him like, "You're trying to keep me up, aren't you?" He goes, "Yes, I am."
He didn't say stay away from the light, little buddy, did he?
He did not say that. He did not say that.
Stay away from the light, little buddy.
Oh, damn it. It won't play. I was trying to play.
You can't use my lines on me. Come on.
So being in that situation, Roof, where you're used to being the guy on the other side, the caregiver, and now you're the other. Now you're in the other seat. How did that feel? Like,
it's a little vulnerable, is the word I would say. Yeah. You don't realize everything that you're saying is that person is on every word, especially if they're scared. You know what I mean? Like everything's going to be all right. Like these little things that you could say to people that you don't think about because you say it over and over and over and over and over again. But that's that person's first time in that spot. So they want to hear that everything's going to be all right. They want to hear that, we got things under control or whatever it is, no matter what, just whether it's an ambulance or fire or whatever. How many times you hear in those scenarios, somebody gets a medal in a collapse and the person who was trapped under the rubble had a guy who was right next to them who was rescuing them. And they said, "Don't worry, you're going to be all right. We're going to get you out of here." And they spend 3 hours with them, and it becomes a spiritual thing, probably. Like, you become like, that guy, you're leaning on for everything because you're in the most vulnerable spot you can be in, right? You don't even know how things are going to turn out. Right. So that to me was a little bit of an eye opener. How and these guys were, like you said, this guy's probably, I don't know if he's the barber, but he's probably just some guy over here. It's a Pine Island. You know what I mean? For God's sakes, it's farms here. So
you walk him into the supermarket, he's spraying the vegetables, and like, oh shit, that's the guy that.
Hey, hey, how you doing?
One, good compressions.
There's a great story about how Denny says that he had a guy that was complaining because he had to close down the shop because he went on a call. He's like, "Hey, what did you close the shop down for? You got to keep it open. How are you supposed to expect to run a business, right?" And so, fast forward 2 or 3 weeks later, the guy has a heart attack on ice fishing on the lake, and he's out there like pulling him off the lake, and the guy goes to, "All right, I'm never gonna bust your balls again."
Hey, Todd makes a good point here. Look at this one.
Yeah.
This is what
So
most people
basically
don't
just
understand in a small town when you have a volunteer department. A lot of the business people own businesses. So when the pager go off, they shut their business down to help people, man. Yep.
That's exactly what I was just saying.
Yep. So they're losing money to go help somebody, right? To help their community out.
Yeah.
Have you, hanging around firemen, have you picked up on the warped sense of humor? Or because it transcends anywhere in the world, right? You know that.
Yeah. It's interesting, like I think how you guys cope with stuff is amazing, and I don't. So one of the firefighters, he had talked about having struggles with his marriage because he kept going on calls and family time, and the wife said, "Hey, listen, we gotta figure something out." I'm sure this is the universal conversation is that occurs, but I mean the amount of sacrifice that you have to give, and even there. So Michael Perry, the author guy that I talked about that wrote the book Population 45, he's kind of one of the narrators throughout the film, and he talks about the fact that that you have to when you go out to a call, you leave and you come back, and the wife is asking you what's going on. He says, by the time I hit the mailbox, by the time I drive past the mailbox, I have to have cleared my head, and I have to be ready to deal with my family once I get in that house, once I'm there with them, and it's like you have to completely turn, even though you might have just gone to a call to a neighbor's house,
right?
You know what I mean? And she knows the person, and she might want to know that information because there's all of this confidentiality that also exists. He can't talk to his wife about these sorts of things. So there's this wall that has to get put up, this compartmentalization that has to happen because of that. That's I couldn't do it. I would walk in the house and blab it out.
I mean, blabbering like a baby.
Well, yeah. At least with us, right? Like with these guys, they go to a run or a call. Not only can they not share it, but they have what they just witnessed, whether it was a terrible accident, whatever it was, and they have to compartmentalize. Yes, all of that as to not lay it out for their kids and their wife, right? At least us. Louis had a hour and a half commute. I had an hour commute. So on the way home, you could change gears and get yourself into the frame of mind where, all right, I'm going to decompress. I'm going to get home, and it's back to being dad or husband or whatever. These guys come right back from a call. They're stepping right back into a kid's party, or they're at dinner or whatever it is. They don't have that time to switch gears and decompress. So that's another thing with them. I got kick the dog. Poor dog.
One of them.
Make sure it's not too small of a dog.
Yeah. God, do we have other pictures we want to go through? What are some of the others?
We're just from the from that. I wanted to show you. You mentioned this earlier. This was your.
Yep, that's a stacker. Yeah,
the stacker. I pulled that.
Oh, that's the lumber thing.
Yeah.
Yep. It scoops up the logs, and then it runs it into the down the back of the thing, and it builds
and
up.
That thing's still there today.
Yep, still there today.
Being used or no?
Yeah, it's it's decommissioned at this point, but it's
that's pretty cool.
Massive, yeah.
So you have, we can have, this is this the trailer page, and you have this book here. There's a couple of pictures from.
Yep. This is a barn fire that we went on, and when we were filming, we also went to a neighboring fire department because we wanted to get an idea of mutual aid calls and how all of that works for these really big fires like barn fires, where you have to have more than just one pumper for a lot of these stations that are a little bit smaller. They don't have a ton of trucks. So we went out. We just happened to be filming nearby, and the siren went off. And this town still has a siren when a call goes off. So you can hear the siren you could hear it in the background. So, we dashed to the fire hall. We went there. We filmed them getting all suited up, and we followed into the fire. And a bale had started on fire in the middle of summer, and they were pulling out bales with these forklifts. But they were in full gear with these masks and things on to pull out the
crazy
bales. As they were pulling them out, they also had to put it out. But again, there wasn't a fire hydrant out there. So the pumper trucks were constantly coming in and bringing water to the situation and dumping into the tanks and cycling out. And I think we had on that call, there was like Cornell ended up showing up to this guy. The name of the town that actually responded within that the fire was in their district is called Anson, or Jim Falls is what we call it in Wisconsin. But it's so they responded, and Cornell came to that mutual aid call. Another town called nearby Cadott, which is like 40 some minutes. They brought a tanker truck, and so they Eagle Point. There was like 6 or 7 different departments that ended up responding to this thing over time, and they were able to pull all the bales out and put out the fire, and there was just a minimal amount of damage to this barn. At first we thought it was going to go, but the guys really put in a lot of effort. It was and strange enough, right down the street was a Amish settlement. There was Amish people living down the street, so they'd be riding by in their buggy.
So we see Amish firefighters, right? When we go to Pennsylvania, Lou.
All right.
Yeah.
Harrisburg, yeah.
Harrisburg. We see a bunch of Amish firefighters. I don't know how that works. They got
like
radios, but wearing suspenders. It's very odd.
Right. They buy Halligans and stuff like that. You see them walking around with all that stuff.
Yeah. Hey, you did a good job losing the Wisconsin accent, bro. I'm not.
Yeah, you pick up on it once in a while.
I'm trying to, like,
yeah,
Wisconsin. I didn't hear Wisconsin.
It's
that time in LA, you know what I mean?
That's right. There's young Denny right there. He's
oh wow.
So one of the interesting story threads in the film is that when we got there, he had planned on retiring that year. So he was passing off retirement after 50 years. I think he had served, I think he was chief for 30 and had been on the department for 20. But after 50 years of serving, he was retiring and passing on to Matt Bolding. So we kind of captured some of that in the film, sort of the transition of an older generation chief to a younger generation chief, sort of the differences in how they run things. From like,
look at that Denny,
cool
cat.
I want that bell. Is that bell still available?
That's the one I have over here, bro.
Yeah. All right.
Patty Lee was saying Billy Donald. He was my old lieutenant, 117 as well. Still chauffeurs Oceanside Volleys. They won't let him into the fire. He's 80 years old. He's still driving.
Nice. Well, Patty Lee could volunteer. You know where his volunteer house would be, right? At the squad, bro. Anytime he wants to go volley at the squad, here it comes. I just set one up on the tee for him.
I can't wait. I was just going to say, I can't wait to see this comment right here.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see this comment with that one.
Man, I know how it is with those old guys.
Where's that fire? I just saw a fire.
Ooh, scary.
What? Where? You saw fire? What happened?
You had a picture.
Hold on. Yeah.
Okay, guys. What are we saying?
Here it is. I was saying that we had an old timer that he was the mechanic, but you didn't want him driving, man, because he would get close to signs, clip some signs. But he was at the time, he was a guy that we could only one that could drive the rig at the time. So we didn't know any better. Let's get on the truck with this guy.
This looks like a playground or something with a gazebo.
Yeah, this is so. I talked to the newspaper, and they had donated all of their photos to the public library. And I asked them, about fire service stuff. They said, here's 50 years worth of photos of every fire. And back in the day, it was more often than not that photographers would go to the scenes of these fires and get photos for the newspapers. So there's some really, beautiful pictures that were taken. And they let us use whatever we could find. So I really dug through a lot of photos to get some good ones. But this one's kind of fascinating for sure.
I like it.
Now we're talking about, right? We're going to try to put together a viewing somewhere over here. Is that possible?
Yeah.
So all you guys in the chat or anybody watching this, we're going to try to do it. Any of you volleys out there in Nassau or Suffolk or even upstate by Louis, we'll go up by Louis. Maybe we'll give them a medal, the one who saved Louis on the bus, the chick. Any of you guys out there, you want to hold a viewing? We'll give us a venue. We'll start working the all the details, right, Ben?
Absolutely. And if you loop it in, we can donate a part of the box office to that department. We'd be happy to do that. We've been doing that across Wisconsin, is donating a chunk.
Let's get the word out there for volleys, man.
Let's go.
I heard Lou's going to start volleying.
Where do they send it? Coops Podcast?
Yeah, send it to Coob's Podcast, or put it in the chat, or send it to coobspodcast@gmail.com if you want to hold the viewing in your town or at your hall or at your training facility or whatever it is, right? We can accommodate any of these places, Ben?
Yep.
Send it, and we'll host it there, and we'll have a good time. Maybe Gonzo, we fly Gonzo up, too, with his hair.
Let's go. I combed it with a rock. So
He hits my hair. He hits my hair. I do my hair, and he hits my hair.
Ben's got a pretty good head of hair himself, man. Look at that.
Yeah, it's a bit froey today. Yeah.
Got a gray on it too.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's because it's a dark room. You turn on the light and the grays start popping out all over.
I did have another question. It just left my head.
All right, well, we'll talk about this guy here really quick. I have one last photo to share. We have this gentleman and
so this is Justin Fredrickson. He's the guy that was shot through the stomach by the loaded firearm.
Wow.
So yeah, this was when we first interviewed him in 2021. This was a few months after he had been shot. He in the documentary he talked about it. He felt something. He didn't know what it was. They didn't. All of the noise, everything kind of happening. He was holding the line with another guy. He just felt something, and he went down, and they had to pull off all of his gear. This is in the middle of winter, nonetheless, in February. So this is it's below zero at that point. So they're pretty well bundled up. So to be able to see that he was hit, not only does he have to take off his gear, he also has to take off the little layers that he has underneath that stuff to find out that he had been shot. And they were completely surprised by this. So they had taken him to the hospital and then flown him out for emergency care. And it was pretty touch and go for a little bit.
Wow.
He came through.
And he's back on volleying.
He's back on. And as a matter of fact, his son has now joined the fire.
And why? Because the brothers love what they do. That's why.
That's right. He's a 16-year-old kid.
Wow. Here's from Patty Lee. In your dreams, I would rather contract disease. Come on, Patty.
All
Let's first do it to your house, bro. What happened? Oh,
sorry. There you go. That's what
County Fire Buff.
Let's see what you got.
Pick that off.
Hold on a second. I got to switch screens here. There we go. Let's go back to Mr. Ingram. He's asking, would the film be able to be viewed on a platform eventually once the screenings are done?
Yep, that's eventually once. Yeah, we'll be releasing it on Amazon and Apple for purchase, and then it may be on some other streaming services as well. We're working that out, and I'm trying to work something with PBS too at some point for broadcast.
Yeah, they're usually pretty good.
So let's do it, guys. Send me. Let's fill up a hall here. Let's get back to the volunteers. Ben's got to afford all those books too. He's got to make a couple of shekels too, right, Ruff?
The secret room.
He's got to afford the secret room back there too.
Yeah. All right.
Any pictures, guys, or is that it?
The one that we just a little job picture here. I mean, just like like to see fire. So
yeah, Mike. Where's Mike Cologne? Check it out, Mike. That'll be you, brother.
He'll have an air pack on, I think. Yeah.
You better have an air pack on.
Yeah, this was the snow was melting all around it in March below zero fire. This is the one I had told you about with the where it was down a farm road of like a half mile of ice to get there.
Gotcha.
So that's what this is. Apparently, it was a lightning strike hit the building, and then and it just went up pretty quickly. But luckily, they were able to save the house. This was just a guest house that was right next door to it.
Oh, it's a guest house. Swanky out there. It's a guest house.
Yes, for sure. Let's see, we got anything in here? Okay.
Yeah, I see Pat said this. Kev, just remember the last time you were first doing my block. Yeah, we lost a house from a church from the 1800s.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't do so good there.
We didn't do so good. Nah.
No. Excuse me.
You guys ever had a barn fire gone on anything like that before?
A barn fire? No,
Yeah.
can't say as I had a barn fire. Maybe up there by Roofy they've had a few, but not that he's first responded to.
Yeah, the city boys, you know how it is. It's a little bit different than
Yeah.
your bonfire is different from their bonfire or my bonfire.
Yeah,
factory fires, right? I suppose. So how many districts do you pull in when you get like a factory fire or something like that? Are you
how many guys or how many companies?
Yeah, how many companies?
New York City?
Yeah.
Oh, rough. Well, first alarm is how many? 3 engines, 2 trucks.
3 engines, 2 truck. What? 2
Rescue
chiefs?
squad. 2 chiefs. That's on the first
An
alarm.
extra engine and truck. Well, hold on.
Yeah.
You're speeding. They still get it. They get an extra engine and truck on the all hands.
Okay.
No. On the 1075, they get an extra engine and truck. When they give it all hands, they get an extra engine and truck. On top of
3,
that,
4, 5 engines, 3 truck, fast
like
truck.
200.
Right.
There's going to be 200 guys there. 150,
At least.
100 guys, 150.
Wow.
We kill it with manpower, Ben.
We club them with manpower.
That's just a little perspective for you. That New York City, 5, 6 guys to a rig.
Right.
In South Florida, we're lucky if we have 3 or 4 guys, depending. The going joke that I have is we're rolling heavy in South Florida when you have 4 guys on a rig.
Right.
I want you to use that from now on. That is you have adopted that now. That is your sign off call. Don't cave to me making fun of you. That's your sign off call.
So anyway, but yeah, depending on where you are in the country, the staffing is
the big
will
cities
dictate how many trucks get to or respond to an incident type of thing. So staffing is a big factor.
So do you ever have like arguments, fights between who's actually managing this fire? Is there ever
No.
Never. Well,
it happens.
Allegedly not here.
Yeah.
No, never happens.
No.
You might find yourself finger poking somebody or here or there, but nothing really to speak of.
No.
I'm rolling a little friendly finger poking. Anything else you'd like to add, Ben, before we wrap this bad boy up?
I'm talking to firefighters here, obviously, right? But the importance of having the higher volunteer numbers is if there's a staffing, if numbers get too low, they have to close departments, and when they have to close departments, that means another department that's in another town nearby has to respond to those calls. And when you're in rural America, you've got that golden hour for response time, right? And when you have a department because yours is closed down that has to respond some distance away, it's that it really kills that time for that golden hour to stop down that fire, to get that person to the hospital in time to kind of prevent this thing from getting so much worse. It's so not only on that, there are fiscal things that happen to insurance, to towns, businesses that move into towns. That it affects so many things. The fire departments are the cornerstone of what keeps a community together, not only spiritually, but it is a part of the economy too. So I think, if you can volunteer, maybe you're retired and you're watching this and you're thinking about the idea, but go out, join. They need you, even in the smallest capacity, because they have to have people to come in.
I think I'm going to join Ruff just to drive. That way I can beat. In my town, I have half paid, half volunteer. So I'll join the volleys and I'll beat them in the paid guys every time. What do you think?
Sounds like a challenge to me.
Me too. That's what I'm saying.
We just let you drive. That's it. If I went back, I would just want to drive.
That's what I want to do. I don't want to go in and
out. One arm out the window.
That's it.
Let's go.
Yelling.
Yeah.
All right, we got to play that one commercial quick.
Yes, we do. All right, here we go. Stand by.
The First Responders Center for Excellence is a not-for-profit organization dedicated to protecting the lives and livelihoods of first responders. Their education and research initiatives aim to bring greater awareness and understanding to the challenges to the health, safety, and well-being of firefighters, EMS personnel, and other first responders too. They are an affiliate of the National Fallen Firefighter Foundation.
All right, and tonight's old school health and safety tip is Louie, talk about getting up on it early, catching stuff early. And one of the things that me and guys were talking about in the pre-show is guys forget to get their skin checked. It's good to get all the scans. It's good to check your lungs. It's good to check everything, but skin cancer is a huge killer. So Rob Brown now does it. He has a girl coming in. You can get it while you're getting everything else done, but do it on your own at least once a year because that happens quick and it could be deadly. So get it checked out. And that's my old school health and safety tip. And the other thing is, guys, get out and volunteer. You won't regret it. Fighting fires is the best thing in the world for you young folks, not for me.
You're young. Yeah, you're young.
Yeah.
You got to be
young. Get out there and do it.
Give back, pay it forward.
And don't forget to send the Coops podcast at gmail.com where you want to do this screening. Maybe we get Gons up with some gel on the hair. We'll get Roofy down, or we'll go up by Roofy. Maybe we'll all sleep at Roofy's. I don't know. This house is big enough, right?
Ooh, I think so.
I'll sleep in the scary room. Just put a cot in there. Wake up, see a couple of heads hanging over me. And what do we got?
That's scary.
What do we got next Thursday, Roof? We got the guy from Houston, right?
Dallas.
37 years.
37 years.
How do you say his name? Is it Lucio Gonzalez? No relation.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was Italian, not with the name Gonzalez.
Right,
so guys out there too, all you volleys, send your pictures. Let's show a little company pride. Coops podcast.
Did you see how many people have sent you stuff?
Thousands.
Are you paying?
I told Gonzo, I want them more. Send them to me so we can get them on the Cup of Joe and Fuego. It's that tiny.
Bro, there are.
Come on. Really?
Sorry, did you say something?
That was perfect. That was well timed. Good job. It's that show that brings us all together. Cup of Joe and Fuego, Coops podcast at gmail.com. Send in your pictures, your mustache pictures, your kitchen tables, going to jobs, everything you want in the fire service. Send it to me, and I'll put it up there.
Have you got any mustache photos? No, you haven't got any of those lately, have you?
No, I got a couple of tattoo photos, though. Which is cool.
We got firefighter Fenton coming on. The mustache dude.
Oh, the mustache. Sticker. That guy?
Sticker. Yeah.
He's a funny dude.
I'm salty, and I know it.
We got to get him to do that stuff, bro.
All right, cool.
I'm gonna get me a mustache.
Shh, don't blow it, dude. That was on the down low.
Oh, all right.
Come
on, man.
Come on, Crembone. All right, Mr. Ben Cook. We wish you the best. Hopefully, we'll be seeing. Will you be coming when we do the screening, or you don't make an appearance?
We'll see. We'll see.
All right. Hopefully, we do see you. We get a screening out here in Nassau or Suffolk, and we promote the living crap out of it. That's what I say.
That's right.
That's all I got to say. Until next time.
No, you can't go nowhere yet.
Hold on. Hold on.
We got a
lot. Oh, you're right. I'm sorry. I am remiss. I'm sorry.
All right. So I will let me bring his picture up.
Correct.
John Jr. Gordet, 11-year veteran of the Binghamton FD Fire Department, was killed last night in the line of duty from a collapse. 40-year-old. His wife leaves behind, I believe, a wife and one child. I don't know if it's 2 children, but was killed in the line of duty last night. So we're going to bring the 5 bells out for him.
Here we go.
Rest in peace, brother.
Rest in peace, brother.
So
I think there were 2 other guys that got caught in that too.
What's that?
There's 2 other guys, but they were. I think they're going to be okay. But unfortunately, he passed. I don't know what the status is of the other 2 that were caught in that same collapse.
Say prayers for the brother that passed and for the other 2 brothers fighting for their lives. It's a dangerous job, but fulfilling job. I'm going to leave on this one because this one made me smile a little bit. If you guys run out of blankets, you can always use loose curtains.
Shit. We haven't heard something about those curtains in a long
those
time.
Curtains haven't come up in a while.
It's been a long time.
All right, guys. Now I'm going to sign off.
No, you're not. Lou, do you have anything? Lou?
I don't.
You don't? Okay. You have this?
No.
Oh, you're right. Me and Louie will be at
He's out of his
Lancaster.
mind. He's out of his mind.
Excuse me.
I can tell I'm getting on his nerves too. I can tell by his face. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry, Lou. Sorry. Harrisburg, guys. Go ahead, Coops. You had to do your nice.
Oh, me and
bobbling around the earth.
Fire Expo, May 16th and 17th, 2025. Come on down and see me and Lou, or Lou and I, at the Harrisburg, Lancaster County Fire Expo. Lots of fun. Tell Louie your fire stories. He loves to listen to them.
Yeah, for sure.
All right.
Yeah, he does. He loves to hear him. And
what else? You have something else?
Just a little shout out to tomorrow's Valentine's Day, obviously, for a lot of love for a lot of people, but some people that were affected by a tragedy. It's not. It's a little bit of a somber reminder of what took place tomorrow for me. So I just might tip my hat to all the victims from tomorrow's shooting and any other senseless gun violence that this world has stuck upon us, if you will. So I just want to give a little tap, a little shout out.
I'm going to give a little tap too, Guns. I ran out of martinis. I would tip my glass to you, but I love you. I'll send you some chocolates.
And so that's all I have. That's it.
Now I can sign off?
Now you can sign off.
I'm irritating the balls off of Lou. All right.
You can't wobbling around the earth, bro.
Yeah.
It's like this.
Stay low. Stay low and
Write
go.
something
Love
down
you
so
guys.
you can look down and know what the fuck you're supposed to do.
He's getting very cranky in his old age. He's getting
Oh my
cranky.
God.
I'm not
All right, I love you guys. See you. Stay low and go.
All right, guys.
Thank you so much, guys.
All right, guys. We're rolling heavy. Lou, your turn, baby.
Oh. It's a big one, everybody. Look at his face.
Good night, guys.